broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Louisiana, and has lived in the Tampa Bay area for the past 31 years. She currently serves on the pastoral team at Anointed Word Church of Tampa Bay, where her husband Roy is the senior pastor. She's also an author, speaker, life coach. Pastor Hayes has served in the community in several capacities, including the Mayor's African American Advisory Council, the Hillsborough County Commission on Human Trafficking, and the 2020 Hillsborough County Complete Count Committee. Pastor Hayes is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, where she has served in several local, regional, and national positions, and she's a graduate of Spelman College. Please welcome Pastor Brina Hayes Fields.
Please stand for, if we can get the screen up top to work, we don't see it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let us pray. Good morning, God. Thank you for this new day that you've allowed us to experience. We acknowledge you as our creator and sustainer and a God who is loving and kind. We thank you for this meeting and for the opportunity to be of service to the Tampa community. Thank you for our city leaders who have committed themselves to represent the citizens of this great city, and we ask that you would give them the wisdom, compassion, and guidance needed to serve well. Bless the deliberations that will occur today, and may the decisions that are made be led by your wisdom for the betterment of our community. And lastly, God, as the city prepares to celebrate Historically Black College and University Week, we are grateful for the contributions that these institutions and their graduates have made to our communities. And in everything we do, God, we give you glory and praise. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. If we could have roll call, please. And, okay, there we are. It's broadcasting. Yes, ma'am.
Carlson. Here. Hurtak. Here. Clendenin.
Here.
Henderson.
Present.
Vieira. Here. Miranda.
Here.
And Maniscalco.
Here.
We have a physical quorum.
All right, let's get the adoption of the minutes. This is going to be for the evening session from September 5th, 2023, the regular session from September 7th, 2023, the budget workshop session on September 13th, 2023, and the evening session held on September 14th, 2023. Motion from Councilmember Miranda. Do we have a second? Second from Councilwoman Henderson. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, let's go through the agenda. I have a couple of items. We received a memo from Councilwoman Hurtak asking to pull items number 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 41 for discussion and to be heard together. We will do this first under staff reports. Is that correct?
Yes, and staff is aware and prepared and.
Excellent. We have a motion from Councilwoman Hurtak. Do we have a second? Second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor? Aye. All right, item number.
Did you pull 28?
We're not there yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
I want to pull 28 when I get you.
You have okay, we have a request from Councilmember Carlson to pull item number 28. Let me just take a look at it. Would you like that under staff reports?
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll pull item number 28, pulled for discussion and place under staff reports. Councilmember Carlson with the motion, second from Councilwoman Hurtak. All in favor? Aye. All right. Next up, we have a request from Mr. Elise Drumgo to continue item number 40 to October 5th. Is that
So
correct,
moved.
sir? All right.
So moved.
We have a motion from Councilmember Carlson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor? Aye. All right, we've continued item number 40. Let's see here. Items number 63 and 64 are to be heard together. If there's no discussion or staff needed, can we move that to the end of the consent docket? Council members, if we can, it's under staff reports, but are you comfortable with, are there any questions, or would you like staff present for 63 and 4? No? Okay. So we will hear those at the end of the consent docket. Let's see. All right, let's go through staff reports. And then also, just to be aware that at 11 o'clock, I'm going to announce that we will be going into a closed session in accordance with Florida Statute Section 286.0018, and I'll go through the details at that time. So, let me go to staff reports. Okay, administrative update. Do we have anything from you, Chief Bennett?
Good morning, John Bennett, Chief of Staff. Originally, I did not, but the fact that we're recognizing historical black colleges and universities, if I could have just 10 seconds to share something with council.
Okay.
Every week before council, I get an EBO report from the Equal Business Opportunity. And I just wanted to share that Black Business Enterprise year-to-date is worth over $46.6 million worth of services and goods to the city. And I just thought that was worth sharing with council and the public this morning. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I just want to, Chief Bennett, I just wanted to publicly thank you again and the mayor and all the staff for the collaborative process over the last couple of weeks. I think, and I also texted the mayor, I think that process, it wasn't perfect. You know, everybody had their pluses and minuses, but it was an example of what we can do going forward if we all work together. So I just want to thank everybody for doing that.
Thank you. Staff worked hard on that. And I also want to just mention that I know Mr. James Ransom was here the other night of TOBA, and he's been a big supporter of getting our EBO together, and council's been a big supporter and advocate. And I want to credit former Councilman John Dingfelder for a lot of that approach, too, to get our equal business opportunity where it needs to be. So thank you for all of that. I just thought it was worth pointing out this morning.
All right, so nothing further
Nothing
later on?
further.
All right, we'll take care of that. Thank you, sir. 63 and 4 we already discussed, and we'll take those at the end of the consent agenda. Item number 65, I would like, there is a memo from Mr. Bede, transmitting a written report, but this is to discuss an update on the stormwater project and program. We may hear during public comment some other stormwater issues, which I'm going to bring up at that time. Does anybody else have anything now? So we'll have Mr. Bede present for 65. Item number 66, Councilmember Clendenin.
Yes, I'd like to continue this until the October 26th workshop. The administration did respond with a memo. Unfortunately, that memo did not ask the questions that I had asked for. It was woefully inadequate, and we need to gather more information before we can appropriately discuss this.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Carlson. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so that's been continued. Item number 67, there's a written report. Councilwoman Hurtak, this is your motion. Would you like staff present?
From my understanding, and Mr. Shelby can help me on this, things have changed and there's not much we can actually discuss
Okay.
If I can,
at this current time.
if you wish to receive and file at this time, or when the item comes up, perhaps after public comment, in the order of business, you can do a receive and file at that time. But you have a memo from Deputy City Attorney Kate Wells, who's present, and Abby Feely, the Deputy Administrator for Development and Growth Management. And when we get to that item, if it's discussed, we will be able to have a discussion about it. But we do not anticipate council's, it'll be the legal department's and my recommendation that council not discuss this.
All right, so should we receive and file after public comment, just in case anybody's here to speak on it?
Well, my suggestion is, why don't you hear what they have to say?
And then,
And
okay,
then at some point in time, we can receive and file either at some,
sounds good.
whenever you take it
Thank
up.
you. Item number 68 is a memo. Are we satisfied with the memo? Do you need staff present? I see it's coming from Mr. Benson.
Can we just leave it on and?
All right, we'll keep Mr. Benson on standby for 68, when we get to it. So, all right. Yes?
Well, if I may, you know, since for back-to-back commendations, can we do 1, 3, 2? Would that be okay?
That's fine.
Thank you.
Any objection from council? No? Okay. All right, may I have a motion to approve the agenda and the addendum to the agenda? We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Henderson. All in favor? Aye. All right, Councilmember Vieira, go ahead.
The whole bar is clean. Whoa, I got a lot here. It's a real pleasure here today to honor a guy that I really like a lot and I've known for a very long time. Come up here, Judge. And it's funny, folks, even long after they retire, if you're an attorney, you always call them a judge. That's just the way it is. So we're honored here to have our good friend, Judge Rex Barbas, who has served the 13th Judicial Circuit with honor and distinction as a judge since 1997 and is just retired. And he's here with many friends and supporters, including his wonderful wife, Donna, who's here, his wonderful brother, Randy, who's here, his wonderful niece, Taryn Barbas Kramer, who's here, and then his niece's husband, I guess, Jake Kramer, who's here. I don't, I'll do that later. But Judge Barbas is a really, really exceptional individual who graduated from Jesuit High School and then would go to Loyola undergraduate and Loyola Law School, where he would graduate in 1975. He began his career as an assistant prosecutor, Hillsborough County prosecutor, from 1975 until 1980, and then he would enter the private practice and create the law firm of Mitchum, Weed, Barbas, Allen, and Morgan, which is now Barbas, Nunes, Sanders, Butler, and Hovsepian. A number of individuals from this law firm would become judges, as well as Judge Rex Barbas, including the late, great Judge Bob Mitchum, who I knew was a wonderful man, Charlotte Anderson, and Diana Allen. Judge Rex Barbas is board certified in civil trial law and would excel in the practice of law, including teaching classes at USF and for our Tampa Police Department. He would create, and this is interesting, so I did a little research, and I found that, I know, right, that he would create the first Guavaween Festival while serving on the board of the Ybor City Chamber of Commerce. His family has very, very deep roots in Ybor City that they're all very, very proud of. In 1996, he would run for and join the circuit court, where he would serve with great distinction. And he is a man of many, many passions. His excellence in the practice of law is open and obvious, and everybody knows about it. But he's also involved in a lot of different initiatives. For 13 years, Judge Barbas, as well as Judge Nick Nazaritan, has served as our sensory-friendly Santa, seeing probably about 1,500 kids, if not more, maybe 2,000, who have autism and different intellectual disabilities, as our sensory-friendly Santa for Lawyers Autism Awareness Foundation. And something that's really neat also about Judge Barbas with his wonderful wife is they have Barbas Fine Art, which is at 4223 West Bay to Bay, and they are artists and do paintings and different things and do just, and Judge Barbas does amazing work. He is dedicated to his.
Can I quote you on that?
Of course,
Okay.
count it as an endorsement, count it as an endorsement. Judge Barbas is a very, very proud father and grandfather, including to his son, Staff Sergeant Casey Barbas, who has done one tour in Afghanistan and 2 tours, or strike that, 1 tour in Iraq and 2 tours in Afghanistan for his country. And now Judge Barbas is working as a mediator. But I wanted to take time to honor this great man for all that he has done for our Hillsborough County through almost 40 years, 37 years or so as service, 36 years as a Hillsborough County judge. Since I first became an attorney 20 years ago, I've known Judge Rex Barbas and just known of his excellence and his dedication to the law. So for this and so much more, this Tampa City Council honors this fine public servant. Here you go, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You want to speak, you may.
I'm sorry?
If you want to speak, you may.
Real quick. First of all, I really appreciate what you all do on a daily basis, and that's obvious from the last week, what you've done collaboratively, and I wish our Congress could be as collaborative as you all are. And I really mean that. First of all, I want to give, I've grown up with 2 principles, and both of them from Jesuit. First one is the Latin motto of the Jesuits, Ad Majorem Dei Gloriam, for the greater glory of God. Everything should be done for the greater glory of God. So to him I give great praise and thanks. And the other motto is from our high school, become a man for others. And that's what I've tried to do my entire career. I hope to continue to do it, even in retirement. But beyond that, first of all, I want to thank you for this great honor. I really believe it's a great honor. I've said, beyond me, you have to have a great family. And I do have a phenomenal family. Not just a great one, a phenomenal. They've stood by me in every respect. They've been there when I've needed them. They've been there when I was hospitalized and in rehab for a year. My brother Randy is. I can't express how much I love him. My wife, I couldn't ask for a better partner in life. And my niece and my nephew, because he is my nephew. You can't say enough wonderful things about them and what they do for the community. So, first family, and then friends and the people that have helped you. So I can't do anything without the help of others. So everybody I've worked with, that's what's given me the power to do what I've done. And with that, I thank you all. Okay. All right. I'm at your mercy now.
Well, congratulations, this is well deserved. I've known of you because I went to school with your kids back in the day, and you were the cool dad because you had a ponytail, and you would show up. I remember one day you picked, I think it was Casey. This guy pulls up in a motorcycle. Casey gets on the back, and I'm like, what is this? But it was, everybody was all impressed, like, whose dad is picking him up on, on this, I guess it was a Harley. But I went to school with your kids. Casey was a year younger, Carlos a year older, and then your daughter was even younger. But I know your family, and I know Taryn here in the audience, and her husband, and I've gotten to know you more, politically and whatnot. I know you know my dad and everything, and you're a wonderful person, wonderful family. I mean, you said it all. Your other brother that's not here, all the commitment to Ybor City and everything that he does, and so, congratulations and well-deserved, and I'm glad Councilman Vieira brought you here today, and thank you and your family for being here. So, Councilmember Miranda.
Thank you very much. I admire that ponytail you had. And I've known your whole fact. I'm so young that I remember your father, who was a doctor, I believe.
Yes, sir.
And he evidently taught the three brothers and the family well because of his giving. He worked at Gonzalez Clinic and other clinics where they would go to your house when you got sick and checked on you. And today that's gone, but guess what? It's coming around again. Now, it's a new thing. Well, it's a new thing this year, but it's been an old thing for many years ago. But your family has always been out there reaching out to helping everyone, no matter who you were, where you came from, to give them an opportunity to go forward. And I know you spent a year in bed and you went with motorcycles. And I spent a year without moving my left leg because I got hurt with a horse. Now, you had a lot of horsepower, and I had one horse, and I spent as much time in just like you did. So I don't understand all that, but it's what you want to do with your life. And it's not how anybody looks or how tall you are or how small you are or whatever. It's what you do to help society give somebody a hand up instead of a push down. And you and your whole family, all of them that I know, have always been willing to give somebody a hand up. And for that, it's an honor to see you and your family here. And it's just, I feel intensified that I had the honor of knowing your family since I was a little boy. And that was about 10 years ago. You caught that one? So that head, I more likely flew right over you. But I appreciate everything you've done, and you continue to do what you can do. And for that, thank you very much for being who you are.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Henderson.
Yeah, just learned of you. Congratulations. Thank you for all you've done, and we appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Councilmember.
Public service is like one of the highest callings, dedicating your life to it. It's one of the things, you're not going to become a billionaire, but you give so much for the community, and I appreciate everything that you've done for our community. And I just I'll leave it at that, God only grants the pretty ones more face. So this is what happens.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't that right, Charlie? Exactly. So it's only the pretty ones that are blessed that he gives us more face. Thank you.
I want to say congratulations, and congratulations for being someone who's been able to, in their career, follow the tenets that you spoke of. Really focusing your attention and your time in life on helping others. And I think that is incredibly noble, and we are grateful for that. And I want to say, thank you for all that you have done for our community. And also, congratulations on retirement. It's often hard to know when to stop. Obviously, you're not going to stop full-time.
No, I haven't stopped.
But you're just going to stop going to an office every day. But you're going to continue on in that way because it's very clear to me that you are a person who will forevermore follow those two tenets. And once that's in you, it's hard to get out. As someone who's followed a sort of similar path of just really figuring out what's right with the world and helping others. And there is no greater calling. And thank you and your wonderful family for all the time they've put in. We look forward to seeing you in many other capacities.
I want to start, Councilmember Vieira, I want to start, in case there are little kids watching, to clarify what you said earlier, that he's actually friends with Santa, just to make that clarification.
Very well said, Councilman.
In case any kids are confused. Second, I want to say thank you for everything you've done, like my colleagues have said, and congratulations on your retirement. I know your other brother and Taryn and Jake and their family better. Your other brother lives across the street from me, so I see him all the time. And your family has made such a great contribution in so many ways to this community, and continuing on through the generations to do that. And we can't thank your family enough. And into the future, your other brother is very involved in Ybor. Your family has deep roots there, and you all know a lot about the history of Ybor. So please join us in the effort to build a new Ybor, to make sure we hold on to the great things from the past as well. Lots of volunteer efforts. Look forward to seeing you there and keeping you really busy if you have any time. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. I
Congratulations.
appreciate it. Okay.
No, he's gonna go. And then we're gonna flip the, Lewis, Councilman Vieira, we're gonna go to number 3. Yes, and then to number 2. Yes, sir. All right, yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Good morning again. Thank you, Chair. Next week is, by White House initiative, President Joe Biden signed an initiative to celebrate and recognize historically black colleges and universities all over the United States. Right here in the city of Tampa and in the municipal government, we have many people who serve this city who graduated from historically black colleges. Just a few of them are here today. We're going to be recognizing them all week during the lunch hours in our, what is that room called? Sister City Room, in the Sister City Room. And on Friday, I'm inviting those graduates and alumni and supporters to a reception during the lunch hour on Friday. But just to show you that it's the impact, it is even in the smallest way this morning, there are several of us in the room who've attended HBCU. So please stand, raise your hand. Darlene Bethune-Cookman University, Nicole Travis, Hampton University, my sorority sister, Brina Fields, who brought the invocation this morning from Spelman College, myself, a graduate of Florida A&M University, and Miss Mary, our aide to Charlie Miranda, her daughter is a graduate of Florida A&M University. Is there anyone else that I'm missing out here today? Miss Shirley Fox Knowles, Florida A&M University Rattler. So I could just go on and on and on. I think it's very important that our city pays homage to the many, many, many community members. If I started, I wouldn't be able to stop with those who've broken barriers right here in municipal government. George E. Edgecombe, his name is on a building today. He's a graduate of Morehouse College and Howard University Law. So I can just go on and on and on, and I think it's just important. And I'm so humbled that the council unanimously moved this motion so that we can year after year bring this recognition to our community, and it just gets bigger and better. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much.
We will have a proclamation next week, since this is my first one out the gate. You know, I'm kind of new at this stuff up here, so
All right.
we will have the proclamation next week along with the recognitions.
All right, Councilman Vieira is still outside, so, no, they're doing pictures. If we have someone from Big Brothers and Big Sisters here, if they're ready to present, are you Mr. Chad Mitchell?
Yes, I am.
All right, come on up. So we have Mr. Chad Mitchell, VP of Partnership Engagement for Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Tampa Bay, and you're going to provide a short overview of the program, including how the city is supporting, and I believe you have a video at the end.
I do.
Councilman
yes.
Vieira, we went to number 4, and then we're going to go to 2, so go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Council. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Like you had said, I am the VP of Partnership Engagement, but more importantly, I'm a husband. I'm a father of 2 young men. and I'm also a big brother, AKA mentor to an 8-year-old little boy. But as far as the mission of Big Brothers Big Sisters, it's really to create and support one-to-one mentoring relationships to help ignite the power and the promise of our youth. And we realize that we can't reach those particular goals without individuals like yourselves that are willing to stand in the gap and be those one-to-one mentors. And speaking about those individuals, we call them defenders of potential. And so, I want to quickly just give a shout out to the city of Tampa, the mayor and her team. They are truly defenders of potential. Not only have they introduced us to all branches of the city, in regards to those individual employees and giving them the opportunity to empower them to volunteer and step in that gap. But they've also partnered with us on our school to work program, taking those kids out of high school at the junior level and giving them an opportunity to kind of figure out the possibilities that exist upon graduation. And so we're working with them. We have the mayor's big initiative, which is to get 50+ employees on a consistent basis that are consistently volunteering with us. And so that's going great, and I truly just want to give kudos to them. I also want to give kudos to our alphas. I see some alphas in the room. We have a great partnership with Alpha Phi Alpha, and we have our, we're in conjunction with their Men of Tomorrow program. It's a national partnership, but we're leading in Tampa Bay. When they had their national conference, I believe out in Dallas, that was one of the things that was top of mind. Is because every single agency across Big Brothers Big Sisters is following Tampa in regards to the partnership that we have with our Alpha Phi Alpha. So I truly appreciate that as well. But just kind of getting into the program, so I briefly talked a little bit about what we're doing with the city of Tampa, but we have a site-based program, which just for is 1 hour a week, as little as 1 hour a week, you can make that little bit of change, but it makes a big difference in that little bit of time makes a big difference in that child's life. And so for 1 hour a week, you can go to a local school and be that one-to-one mentor. We also have a community-based program where you can pick them up from home, take them out in the community, and spend that one-on-one time with them as well. But it's funny, and I'll tell you a quick story. Somebody asked me, they said, what does 1 hour a week do for a child? How can I make a difference for 1 hour a week? And so I had a mother come to us one time. She actually came to our site-based program. And she actually said, I needed some help. She was a single mother. She had a young boy in her life, and she also had an older daughter, but she wanted to get him connected in our site-based program. So when he got connected, one of the biggest issues that he had was he hated math, couldn't stand math. He thought the math teacher hated him. It caused rift between him and his mom. He didn't want to get up for school at times. And she just wanted somebody that he could connect with. More importantly, she wanted a male figure to come into his life, knowing that he unfortunately didn't have that, at home. And so when he was connected in our site-based program, that 1 hour a week, this gentleman decided to start coming and seeing him at his school. Amongst all his friends, hey, who is that? Can we hang out with you? His big wanted to hang out with him. He wanted to spend that one-on-one time, and he was all about it. He was like, listen, we'll hang out a little later. I'm with my big brother. And so it wasn't until he started hanging out with his big brother and spending that time that he started to realize, I really appreciate him. He's here. He's not just saying he's going to be here and that he doesn't come back. He's here every single week. And it's only for 1 hour, but it made a big difference to that child. And so one day that child looked at him and he said, what do you do for a living? Like, what do you do outside of here? So he started talking about his occupation and that he was an engineer. Well, knowing that, one of the things that the little did not like was math, he asked him, he said, do you got to be good at math to be an engineer? And so it was at that point in time where his big looked at me and said, well, you have to have a liking for math. He said, you don't have to be excellent at it, but you have to want to, get to know it and understand it. But it was at that point in time where that young man went home, and his mom shared with me, she said, when I got home that day, and I looked at my daughter, I was bewildered. I didn't understand what was going on because my son was sitting at the kitchen table with his math book open, doing his math homework. And I know every single time I come home, I have to tell him, listen, get your homework out. Let's do this. It's almost a struggle. It was an argument, And so she looked at her. She said, did you do this? Did you tell him to do this? And she said, no. He decided to do it himself. And so when she had a conversation with him, she said, so what changed your mind? Why did you open your math book on your own? What's going on? He said, I want to be an engineer. And he said, my big at school told me that if I want to be an engineer, that I have to start liking math. And so it changed the whole trajectory of how he felt. It changed the trajectory at home in regards to how the communication between him and his mom. And overall, it changed what he wanted to do because he looked up and he saw somebody that only spent 1 hour a week. 1 hour a week, but it made that big of a difference. And so I'm here today to ask each and every one of you to consider, mentoring a child. Not that you already don't. Maybe you already do. But who's around you that you may know that can do that? Maybe you can advocate, volunteer in some shape, way, form, or fashion, but more importantly, taking on a child for as little as 1 hour a week and seeing the difference that it can make is truly what our community needs. It's truly what our community needs. So many times we look and we say, look at the issues that we're facing. Why are these youth doing this and why are they doing that? But these children aren't born to do bad and they're not born to do good. They have no clue. They're taught. We can teach them the things to do in a positive manner. And so I'm here today to say not only thank you to the city of Tampa for all the support that I've gotten and that we received, thank you to each and every one of you for the things that you're doing that people may not even know about. And thank you to our office. But more importantly, let's continue to take this charge forward. Let's continue to work together so we can make a better place here in Tampa Bay, because every single child is one caring adult away from being a success story.
Thank you very much, sir. And then we have a short video to show as well, which we'll play now.
Yep, and I'd also like to take a look at this license plate here. We are going to actually put this in most of our DMVs, but if you want to support in some way, you want to advocate, this is a great way to do that. So please take that into consideration. We hope that every single person in here would get one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's play the video.
So when we met and spoke, I'm like, man, she's a little me. She was 6. She is now 17. I enjoyed myself so much that I wanted to see her more often.
She was there for the long run, and I'm like...
Can we turn the volume up?
Not kind of. I'm fully grateful for that.
He was gone 7 weeks. I missed him, and I told him on the way here, I was afraid you'd forget me. And what'd you say? You wouldn't. You wouldn't forget me.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. So it's very rewarding, and it's part of my weekends.
You make the time for the things that are important, and Chase is important.
He's matured and really just gotten out of his shell with comfort level and talking to people.
I kind of thought like she was a long-time babysitter, but
I saw something the other day that said, children don't need to learn how to be happy because they are, but adults do. Even the smallest things, there's so much beauty and happiness and laughter in life, and I feel I've personally gained more than I could ever even have imagined just having her.
This is cool.
Best friends forever.
Yeah, best friends forever.
When we met them, it was like the missing piece to the puzzle.
And it works, It really works.
It's just like talking to her, just like actually having like a sister, like the big sister I'd never imagined I would have.
Just showing up has made a big improvement in their life.
But then Mark stepped in and he had helped me.
So his confidence has grown, in the 7 years.
His self-esteem has improved so much. He has so much discipline, and all that because Lou.
Look at this man. I am actually helping Christina shape a man, being a productive member of society, being good to her, the family. Big Brothers Big Sisters is doing that.
Let's all pull together and make a difference in these kids' lives. Let's do this.
It's tremendous that you do what you do.
Thank you for your generous donations. Thank you for providing all of the different sponsorships that allow us to connect.
I'm grateful for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Vieira. All right, we'll go to number 2. I thought about that.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. We have wanted for a while to honor our good friends at Camp Hopataki. And by the way, before I begin, and come on up, guys, please, and Simon, please, yeah, come on up. So we have a very special guest who's coming with us, a dog by the name of Denali, that some of y'all have met. But before she comes in, I would ask that while she's in the room, no clapping, because clapping triggers issues with wonderful Denali. So here's Denali. I actually want to clap. I want to clap for this dog, but we're not going to. So here you go. And a wonderful, wonderful dog. But we're here to talk about burn victims and the wonderful work that some individuals and institutions in our community do. We have here Mr. Alex Canassi with the Tampa Firefighters Charity Fund and with Camp Hopataki Camp Director. We have here his very proud dad who's filming, Mr. Simon Canassi, who's here with the, not just as a proud dad, but with the Tampa Firefighters Charity Fund. We have Ashley Rowe with Tampa General Hospital and Mr. Matthew Cohan, one of my favorite people on earth, and his dad is a wonderful man, was also supposed to be here today, but Matt is sick, unfortunately, couldn't be here today. And we also have here Denali, and I'll talk about Denali in a little bit, that beautiful dog, and her wonderful handler, Miss Carrie Burek, who's here. Carrie, thank you for coming. So we're here for a dual commendation for the wonderful work that these two institutions do here in Tampa for burn victims. We have here Camp Hopataki, which is a week-long sleepaway camp for kids age 8 to 17. And the long story short on this camp is it allows kids who are pediatric burn survivors, right, to have an environment 100% free of charge where they can be who they are, be around some medical professionals, be around some firefighters and some other professionals where they can talk about being kids and suffering through the things that they've gone through and suffering through some of the emotional challenges that happen in life. This wonderful camp provides a safe environment, and again, is 100% free. There was a quote from a youngster who went through Camp Hopataki where they said, quote, "They look at my skin and say I look disgusting, my skin looks horrible," and stuff like that. I wasn't used to getting out of the house because everybody was making fun of me, so I stayed inside all day, and Camp Hopataki gave me a home. And that's what Camp Hopataki is all about. And Alex is one individual, along with Ms. Rowe and others, who help lead that effort. I first learned about Camp Hopataki maybe about 13, 14 years ago through Jace Cohan, who used to be the personnel chief here for Tampa Fire and was the treasurer for Local 754 before that. Jace Cohan did a lot of work with Camp Hopataki. His son Matt has done a lot of work. And then Jeremy Finney, who today, by the way, is at a 754 board meeting, so none of the union could be here today, but Jeremy Finney has also done a great deal of work. So we're here today to honor the work of Camp Hopataki and the team that does everything there. We're also here to honor the experience of Denali and to talk about how sometimes these our furry friends or dogs can provide such comfort to people in their saddest moments in life. In August of 2013, Denali nearly died when her owner doused Denali, her husband's favorite dog, in gas and left Denali there to die a horrible death because of a domestic dispute. Police said that she, the individual, left 6 dogs out of the house but trapped Denali in a kennel and then set the house on fire, and this individual would serve 8 years in prison for this terrible act. Now Denali works as a dog comforting burn victims and people who are survivors of abuse. And we're here to honor Denali. Now, I have no problem, as I've said before, with giving council commendations to animals. We did it to Shadow, a dog that saved Marine lives overseas in Afghanistan, and now we do it to Denali. So for that, let me, if I may, and again, we're not going to have any clapping. Alex, if you want to go ahead, sir, and if you want to speak, sir, you may.
Thank you. First, I'll address Denali so they can do their commendation and leave without any clapping. But Denali's been great. I actually met Denali many years ago. We threw a fundraiser for her and dogs in her similar condition, and we were really honored to do that. And then to have Denali come back, healed, to visit the kids at Camp Hopataki has been essential. The kids love Denali. She's a very sweet dog, and she's also Insta famous if you want to visit her Instagram. But I'll let Carrie touch on that if you want to real quick, so we can let Denali do her thing.
As everyone has said, she she touches many lives, and she actually changed my life because I had not thought about doing any kind of therapy work before Denali came into my life. So the experiences that I've had with her and watching how she comforts, pediatric burn survivors and domestic abuse survivors has been absolutely amazing. And I'm so honored to be here, and I'm so proud of her. I knew I was gonna cry. From everything that she's overcome, and she hasn't lost that spark. She's so resilient, and that's why, people love her and the kids love her, because they see a kindred spirit in her as well. And so she has become Insta famous. Her Instagram is pretty wild because people follow her and they love the feel good content and to watch her visits and her brother Hugo's visits as well. So I can't thank you enough for honoring her and the amazing work that she does. And she does have, she has her own trading cards, which we give out to kids. It has her story on the back, and the kids love that. They collect it. We have stickers and everything too. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And Ms. Rowe, if you'd like.
I guess I want to say that I'm blessed through my job as a nurse and to work for the organization I work for, to work for the unit I work for in the burn center, and to be able to treat people on their worst day and their worst moment and try to get them to a better place. And transitioning into the job that I do now with the burn program coordinator, I've been blessed to work with Alex and Matt, who I couldn't ask for a better team in doing Camp Opataki, and to meet these kids and to just genuinely feel touched by their story and their position to be a better adult, and to see that kids don't let something so traumatic hold them down. So, I mean, I would thank you for this recognition, but I really couldn't do it without Alex and Matt, and obviously my job, my boss, and my coworkers as well. Thank you.
So just getting back to camp as a whole, my parents taught me never to come to someone's house empty-handed, so we brought some swag from camp. We have monogrammed towels and backpacks for council. And again, thank you for having us today, and thank you for this recognition. I also need to thank Tampa Fire's administration for supporting us throughout our 33 years of Camp Opataki. I also need to thank Tampa General Hospital's Foundation for their support as well. They are our 50-50 partner on this, and they've been essential throughout this journey. Also, of course, I need to thank our sponsors who have been instrumental in making sure that we can provide this service in this camp for these kids at no cost to them. All we tell them is, if you can get the kids there, we'll take care of the rest. And the kids themselves are teaching us more than we could ever teach them. But finally, I'd like to dedicate this award to the people who really deserve it, and that's the people who volunteer as camp counselors every year. They spend up to a week away from their own families and children so that they can spend time with these kids who really, really benefit. And, I'm looking forward to many more years as director, and I've enjoyed the ride thus far, and I can't thank you enough for this recognition today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No clapping. All right. Thank you very much. Any comments from council? Yes, sir.
Thank you. Many years ago, retired firefighter now, Frank Sedekasi and Al Suarez were the ones that introduced me to Camp Opataki. It's hard to pronounce that word, but it means hope for everyone, I guess, because everyone that I know that's gone there, and they even took me to the tour and showed me the people who really needed help there in and out of the hospital. And it's an amazing thing what you all do to rehab some person. First of all, you got to rehab the mind, because if you don't rehab the mind, the body's never going to have the ability to do anything. And the work that all of you do, not yourself as the leader of the group, but every firefighter and everyone that's associated with your group, is a marvelous thing to give somebody, again, some vision of hope that you're going to have a life that you want to have. And in some of these cases, when you see them before and after, you think you're looking at two different people. And there's really one that has really changed, and the invigoration of life and the energy has come back to them because of what you all do on a daily basis. So I want to thank you personally and your group for doing what you're doing, all the ones that you follow, like Frank and Al and the rest of them. But thank you very much for what you're doing on a daily basis. Congratulations to you and your organization.
Thanks, sir.
Ma'am? Well, congratulations on this very well-deserved recognition. Councilmember Miranda said it best. Thank you for all you do for the community and how you touch and change people's lives, and all the people that, not just the sponsors, but like you said, those that take a week away from their family and children to dedicate themselves to helping others, lifting their spirits, improving their lives. Whatever it is, it's nothing but good things. And we sincerely appreciate you and your team, and of course, Denali, a sad but inspirational story, because Denali now touches more lives in a positive way. So we appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. Councilmember Clendenin.
Yeah, I've had a hard time. I haven't fought back my tears. I was up here crying too. I had a rough start in my life as well, but it's not about where you came from, but it's about what you're doing today. And about Denali, and what you all are contributing to kids and the community and touching folks' lives. It's a very moving story, and to have the assistance of animals. There's just anybody that knows me or follows me on social media knows I'm a huge animal person. I stopped eating meat 40 years ago because of it. Just what a tremendous and amazing story. And it took every bit of self-control I had when Councilman Vera was speaking for me not to run down and sit there and play with Denali, because we bonded a little bit before the meeting today. So yeah, it took every bit of self-control I could. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing the story today.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I feel very similar to Councilman Clendenin. Obviously, as a big dog lover and a former elementary school teacher, the way that animals can often reach a child that adults just can't. And as a great icebreaker, we used to have dogs come and read with the kids, and so there's something about that nonverbal communication, and then her understanding of the kids and their situation that's just really is heartwarming and touching and creative. And so I just think it's really wonderful. Obviously, all the work you've done and all the work you're going to continue to do for these children, but in continuing to look outside of a normal therapy to figure out, how to reach these kids and to really just help them come to terms with what happened to them and how they can just move on with their lives and know that they're, just normal people. And I just really appreciate that. And thank you for all the hard work you do and all you see and do every day.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I just want to add on and amplify everything everyone else said. Thank you for your service to the community, for your leadership, and what you all are doing, important work. So, we all appreciate everything you're doing going forward.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
No clapping, no clapping.
Bye now.
All right, at this time, we'll go to public comment. We have one registered speaker, Mr. Michael Randolph. Mr. Randolph, if you're online, please unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes, and then we'll go to the folks in the audience.
Good morning. My name is Michael Randolph, and I'm with the West Tampa CDC. Hey, I'm here to talk about how do we increase dollars related to affordable housing, connecting to funds. CDC is able to bring in dollars by way of a new law that was passed by IRS. IRS requires that foundations like banks give up to 5% of their gross income to charitable causes. It can be done in 2 ways. The first is grants. We all know about that. That's over 150,000 funders, according to Foundation Center, they give dollars. The next way is called program-related investment loans. These loans are anywhere from 0 to 3%. These loans are the same interest rates as your top 100 foundations get. So we can get up to $500,000. That means if we put $500,000 in the deal with the city for affordable housing, because it's a loan, we get that $500,000 back to the CDC. Now we can use that money for affordable housing, youth programs, etc. this becomes a good way to bring in and add to the dollars that we know that's needed in affordable housing. These are unlimited dollars that we can tap into by way of this program-related investment. I'm very happy to bring this to the city council because now we're looking at a new way to bring in literally millions of dollars to affordable housing. And at the same time, CDC or any organization that chooses to can get this loan, and then with the money they can bring back to the city to improve that neighborhood. Thank you so much. And look, you did a great job with the budget, to go home, to the day off. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll go to in-person public comment. Yes, ma'am, please state your name. You have 3 minutes. Ms. Sanchez.
Good morning, City Council.
Good
My
morning.
name is Sandra De Diego Sanchez. I live at 2705 Fig Street, and I'm here as a community activist today. I'm here to speak on item 67. I am aware that you all have received a letter that says that you are not to have communication, but I think it's okay for public comment for us to come forward if we have something to say. There are not many representatives here from that neighborhood because they know that this meeting is for information only, so they basically want to hear what the information is. And basically, without going into details, the city made a decision. A developer started building. They found out something was very wrong with it. And the city's solution was for the developer to apply for a design exception 1. The design exception 1, I might remind you, is done by one person behind closed doors. Normally there's no notification to the neighborhood. The only reason the neighborhood got notification of this design exception 1 is because there was so many complaints about trying to get some information. This is a proverbial double-edged sword. They're damned if they do and damned if they don't. If they approve the design exception, the developer continues with their project and the neighborhood loses. It would be a safety hazard, a developmental hazard for the neighborhood. It would also set a precedent in the neighborhood for future development, not to mention, even though new, unsightly. There are a couple of possible solutions that I'd like to offer, I'm hoping somebody who makes decision will listen. The first one is to make this design exception 2, which will bring it before City Council and allow the neighborhoods to come in for public comment. The problem with that is, if they get the design exception even at 2, the neighborhood still loses. The house is still being built. It's still something that they don't want in the neighborhood only because it does not set the code by the city. The second solution, and I'm sure not only the development department but also City Council will cringe on this, but they should work with the developer, correct what needs to be corrected, have the developer tear down what he's done, but reimburse him for what he takes down. That's the only way that this neighborhood will become whole again. If you just allow the design exception to go through, and that's still a decision that's up in the air, it will not solve anything. So I hope you will think about this and think about a way that you can help this community that's trying to retain their quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir, next speaker.
Marcus Leinhardt, 410 West Paris Street. I'm here to speak to you about some gaps in process that can unduly burden citizens, and I ask for your help rectifying this, as I understand that we have money allocated to revamp the code and to kind of double down on what we're doing to see if it's actually serving our citizens in the right way. The first time the public typically sees a development is when it's in action, long after approvals of plans, design exceptions, whatever it may be, because the outcomes have already been cemented without their input or knowledge. There are limited courses of action or the ability to make a difference. In situations where approvals and permits design exceptions are allowed due to mistakes or gaps in that process, then citizens are unduly punished by the course of actions and the events that occurred. Not only is the neighborhood negatively impacted, but they themselves bear the burden of the result. Unfortunately, since we're dealing with permanent structure, so is the impact. The impact is permanent not only to our citizens, but also to the future development in the neighborhood. If mistakes are allowed to stand, then those mistakes then establish a precedent for all future development. If those mistakes can then be leveraged at any time in the future, as it does not expire, this keeps the opportunity wide open for a greater negative impact to the neighborhood and the citizens that live there. In the end, the city and the developers move on, but the impact does not. It stays there forever, not only in the original structure, but in the events and decisions that influence that decision post the decision. Citizens should not be negatively impacted by city errors or actions to developers. This is an undue burden on a process that is outside their control, and most likely foreign to most citizens. Therefore, the needs need to change on how events like this are handled. Once identified, they should be discussed with transparency, and definitive action should be taken to correct them. Without meaningful recognition of what has transpired and the correlation and the correction of errors, it further jeopardizes the public's confidence in the process and those that govern it. A process without accountability is a process that's not effective and does not have the wherewithal to improve. Without the accountability, those downstream from the decision makers endure the faults, not those making the decisions. In the end, accountability and corrections have a cost. However, those will cost the city less to act, resolve, and improve than it will be to perpetuate the issues. Therefore, I ask the council to think about this as they rewrite the code and think about things that are currently going on in their city to ensure that there's transparency and accountability in our processes, and ensure that those that typically do not have a voice because they're not involved in those processes do moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am, next speaker.
Good morning. Happy Thursday. And I would like to give you all this little word. What would God's grace look like in your life? Good or evil plots? James 12:21. God is my everything and my soul is anchored in God. I want to thank Mayor Jane Kester for her plan for diversity and working together. The City Council for allowing spirituality in the chambers of the Tampa City Hall and the trees from the city. And also Ms. C.T. came in, the SBA navigator came, and we had a great meeting yesterday. And I would just like to say that we have to fund economic development for small business so that we'll have a chance to participate along with everyone else in the housing and neighborhood programming. And I would just like to thank you all for allowing, the spirituality to come into the room. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
My name is Petra Frank Williams, located at 1112 East Scott Street, Paradise Missionary Baptist Church. I think y'all think that I come down here to complain. But my grievance is now, I've been coming down here a long time. When I was coming down here, first started coming down here, wasn't no black or no white woman was up there. You must consider to be up there. So I thought they would be conservative and help me out. I got a foreclosure notice in my residence, and they only give me 30 days to get out of there, which I've been there for 30 years. And I'm wondering if because some company put a lien on my property, which I wasn't aware of. So I need to know from you all what my best possibility that I need to take in order to maintain my residence. I know y'all gonna tell me, ain't gonna say nothing, but I'm leaning to my mercy is toward you all because nobody else seemed to have mercy on me but God Almighty. So this is what I'm saying. I'm on a fixed income. Don't have don't get nothing from the government but my little Social Security check, which don't amount to nothing. My wife passed, and that's sad. I'm sorry to have to say that, but we don't have no income coming in worth nothing for us to maintain our residence. So what should I do to keep them from foreclosing my place? Can y'all give me an answer now, or do let me give this to the lawyer here. Give you this here. Just what they sent me this book.
Yeah, hand it to the attorney and we'll see.
Chief Bennett, can you work with him? Thank you.
The chief of staff.
I want you to keep it. I just want you to look at it. Let me know what I need to do.
Pastor, those are your copies, aren't they, Pastor?
Huh?
Those are your copies, is that right? Okay, so we'll have to return those to you. Make sure we return those to you.
I got a hearing defect. I can't hear what you're saying.
Mr. Massey's looking at it. Those are, I just want to make sure that
you
get back your, if we need to make copies, we'll arrange that, maybe Ms. Edwards, but.
That'll be good.
Okay.
Because they only give me 30 days to get out of my house. And I know that's not right. Being a senior citizen, being sickly, got to walk with my walker and everything. It look like don't nobody give a damn. I done brought letters up here to y'all. None of y'all respond. Not even the mayor respond. Don't nobody respond. I guess because of the color of my skin or who I am. My church right there on Scott Street, you know what? They blocked my alleyway. Well, can't get into my parking. I told you all about that. You think any of y'all come down there and check me out? No, nobody come down there. You think the city can mistreat certain people, but the rest of them, they do good for them. And we just wonder, why am I pointed out the way I am? Mistreated because of the color of my skin?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, I'm not through yet. Shoot. Tell me thing. I want to get a copy of that. And so, yeah, let me know what I need to do, because I'm lost.
Thank you very
Been
much.
here all my life. 85 years old, but nobody seemed to give a damn about an 85-year-old black man. But I know who do give a damn. That's God Almighty. I want to thank him for being on my side and your side too.
Thank you very much. Next speaker. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Council. Good morning, Mr. Shelby, City Staff, Madam Clerk. Camilo Soto, your friendly neighborhood Dampeño, also happens to be an attorney and an urban planner. Here to just take a few minutes to expound on an issue that I briefly brought up at the Council's 9/14/23 meeting, more specifically the flooding issues that we're experiencing over in Tampa Heights. I think on the record you should have an email chain that I've shared with all of you, showing that since 2021 I've been really working with stormwater to get some action sooner rather than later with regard to the flooding issues that we have in our particular quadrant of Tampa Heights. What that email chain doesn't contextualize is that I spent nearly a year before that trying to get to the appropriate department to get some sort of action on this. I consider myself somewhat sophisticated and decently informed in terms of how to get answers from local governments. And as you can see from that email chain, it's taken a long time to basically get the answer as of the last email from Mr. Mays, in that the city stormwater department wants to wait for FDOT to implement flood redress to Tampa Street and Florida Avenue. Personally, I don't think that's an acceptable response. We pay, especially new builds, pay a lot in property taxes. City of Tampa has approved a lot of development, particularly along this alleyway that I'm talking about. There's property values that are increasing. Two pools have been approved for properties that abut the same alleyway. What will it take to get on the capital improvement project list for stormwater redress for Tampa Heights. In one of my later emails in that chain, and I want Ms. Councilwoman Henderson and the at-large commissioners, council members, to be aware, there's $100 million right now being spent or proposed to be spent on stormwater infrastructure. And that's the current capital improvement project list. Of that, a $46 million project is slated for Parkland Estates, a $10 million project for Belmar Gardens. You will notice there is not one stormwater infrastructure project for Tampa Heights, not one. I can speculate as to why that is, but I won't, because I deal in facts. What I want is to get on that capital improvement project list. Chairman Maniscalco is so kind to link me with his legislative aide. I look forward to collaborating with her and getting our neighborhood more actively involved in seeing some action. And because I am a shameless shill for USF football, there is a reminder that USF plays Rice this Saturday at Raymond James Stadium. Hope you all have your tickets, and go Bulls.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bede is on the line. Mr. Bede, did you want to speak, sir?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Sir, can we
and
cut,
good morning,
we'll bring it up
Council.
under staff reports later on. You're appearing later on in the agenda, so we'll come up on this topic then, okay? Thank you very
Okay.
much. Thanks. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Cammie Corbett with the law firm of Hill, Ward, and Henderson. I am the property owner's representative for the properties that are the subject of item 67, and I concur with both your city attorney and your council attorney that that item is not appropriate to be substantively discussed today. I would like to place a letter into the record stating the owner's position just both on the validity of the stop work order and the alleged violation, code violation. And with that, I'd just like to add that to the record.
Just a motion to receive and file, Mr. Shelby? We have a motion to receive and file from Councilmember Clendenin. Do we have a second? Second, Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
And I just want to add that I did provide a copy to Mr. Leinhardt as well.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, yes, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Audrey Toronzo. I'm a student of public policy and administration at St. Petersburg College, but I am a native Tampanian, and I currently live at 4513 Devonshire Road. Today, I am coming to you because I'm currently working on a case study involving today's topic, which is item 59, I believe, which is the designation of the Johnson houses as a historical landmark, which are located at 1248 East Scott Street and 1250 East Scott Street in Tampa. I would like to take a moment and thank you for allowing me to speak on this subject. Again, although I am not a resident of the historic Central Avenue area, as a native and current resident of Tampa, I believe we should preserve the Johnson houses. In my research, I found that the City of Tampa Historic Preservation Commission recommended to the city that the Johnson houses be designated as historical landmarks. Representing the area known as the Scrubs, it is of vital importance to this African American community. As one of the goals of the City of Tampa's comprehensive plan is to—
Ma'am, sorry to
Yes.
interrupt you. That is coming up later in the agenda as a public hearing, and we'll have an opportunity to speak during that.
Yes, sir.
So,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Council. Connie Burton. First, congratulations to the budget. The housing initiative is greatly appreciated. The opening of the meeting and some of the presentation, the phrase, the greater good of God, should be our measuring stick on how we get there. And I think through that budget of housing, since it is indeed a crisis, we add accountability. I'm concerned, like when you're looking at national news and you're looking at people that's on the front line picketing for wages and better accommodations, and then you see CEOs making $29 million a year. It's just like, oh. So I'm concerned that when we're in our budget mode, and partnering with our housing initiative program, that we keep an eye and make sure that for the greater good of what we are trying to improve and working with some of these partners, that their salaries don't exceed the greater good of what you want to have accomplished, and that is housing opportunities for all. the mention of Tampa Housing Authority and where they fit into this realm of helping to assist the city, since you can't do it all by yourself. It is the city that the housing board is comprised of members of this city government that is appointed to that board. I've yet to see them come here and give a analysis of how they're working to decrease homelessness. What is the housing authority doing to move people toward home ownership? And sometimes the numbers sound good, but the reality in our community is that people are not able to utilize their Section 8 coupons because of the lack of availability. The housing authority get a lot of money. They should be asked to come here to work with your housing department so we can work in a greater partnership to solve some of these problems. And lastly, I would say that Michelle Van Horn from the real estate department provided you all with a list of available properties in East Tampa that is not of traditional size, that you move with great haste so we can start building on those properties so we can have some solid solutions within this budget, within these next 4 years for true accountability. We've waited a very, very long time. You have the resources, so let's get moving. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, yes, sir.
Ben Tisnot. I want to say Huru. Huru means freedom in Swahili, and we as African people should always be thinking about our freedom. That's very important. I think what you had today is a synopsis of our 623-year reality when Pastor Williams stated it's no recognition of African people. When we speak, y'all don't hear us. Irrespective of what we do or how we do it, y'all don't see us, because y'all try to connect us to subjugation. And imagine African people walking around from the day we're born to the day we die. Imagine Mr. Moses Knox coming down here at this city council about how they're treating him and no, the city can't hear him. I don't ever complain about anything personal, because that's not even important. But what this city put African people through, and irrespective of who it is, no matter what department they work in, the city workers act like Ku Klux Klans people when it comes to African people. If it's code enforcement, if it's the police department, if it's the water department, if it's the housing department, irrespective of what it is, they treat us with like a degree of indignation, like it's a certain kind of hatred for black skin. And that's what we get. And you can't get answers no matter where you go. White people come down here, oh, it's like a dog was crossing my street, and, oh, well, we better get down there and do something about that. Let my aide get over there and talk to them. Oh, it's a tree that, oh, we better do something about that. Black people come down here with real problems, real life problems. And y'all don't hear them. It's like a deafening silence, like an Edward Munch deafening silence, like y'all can't hear us. And then when we go and resist tyranny, oh, they looters, they rioters, they shoplifters, you know? That's what we have to do to be heard in a democratic society. And one of the things I say is, I really want to get to the bottom of this. For 8 years I've been trying to find out, how did you say you served someone a summons and no one can find it, and have a case going against a person? For 8 years, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office can't get, or the Department of Revenue can't get to the bottom of a summons. That's the respect African people get all around, irrespective of where we are or what we're doing.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good morning, council.
Good morning.
Robin Lockett. So as you guys know, or as everyone knows, I'll come down and be mean to you when it's needed. But today I want to come up and thank you. Thank you for the vote. Thank you for putting housing on the forefront. Chair, I call you Guido, but Chairman Maniscalco, you set the tone. And, indicating that this is what, if you had the opportunity, you were going to make a motion to do that. And Lynn and Gwen, y'all closed it up, but everybody had a important part in it. And I love the thought process. That's how it should be, right? So I appreciate it. And it was all about, housing and fire. So we came to a reckoning, but housing and fire are the top two pressures that we need assistance in and resolving. Not discounting anybody else, but those were the two focuses. There was a motion made. I just want to put a reminder out there. You remember? Okay. So just want to make sure that the debt issuance motion that was possibly made is made today. So, but I just wanted to come up and thank you guys for being very diligent, making this work. Now the money has to go where is outlined and allocated to go, so that people can do what they presented that they want to have done, and it gets done. So thanks a lot.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Good morning, Stephanie Pointer. First, I want to say thank you. The budget meeting the other night was a breath of fresh air after the two before that. Number 67 is not an isolated incident. Here's a site plan for for townhouses that were built in my community. Notice that these are 12.8 feet from the street. What's the setback supposed to be? I think 25. I'm not real sure off the top of my head. These are 20 feet back. Okay. And there was an SU1 filed in 2021 for these particular units, and then they withdrew it. Then they built something that was not up to code. How did it get passed? How did it get sold to a homeowner? So now these properties actually belong to other people. The builder built them, not following code, not doing what they're supposed to do. And then they filed this nifty little piece of paper in 2023 that says, per Mr. Cotton, this is an SU1 to memorialize what was built on these 4 lots. Now, I've seen stuff come before council that they've had to do SU1s, that something was built 20, 30 years ago, and we have to bring it up to code. But why are we building things that are not to code? And they still, it's my understanding, I mean, I drove by there today. I drive by here quite often. And the memorandums from staff say that the Roberts Avenue place wasn't built to code, and it wasn't built to the plan. The transportation side plan, there were no sidewalks in front of any of these 4 duplexes. And so this is not, the number 67 is not an isolated incident, so we need to make sure that we understand that we have some other issues with people within the city who are taking the rules and doing what they want with them and throw them in the garbage can, because honestly, look up the developer on this and you'll see that it's somebody who knows better. It is somebody who knows better. These are not folks who are brand new. This is the first time they've done it. Second, I want to talk about the Ethics Commission because it's on the agenda today. Why bother? Seriously. I filed ethics complaints. They came back with nothing. I had to go to, HR is in charge of, they are the liaisons for the for the Ethics Commission. I had to go to them several times, several times. It wasn't until I showed up on somebody's doorstep on the Ethics Commission that I got nasty grams from the HR department, and they had a meeting. It was the most amazing thing. Now, if the person who I came to their house was totally offended by me showing up there, she wouldn't have invited me in and made me iced tea and talked to me for 45 minutes. But the HR department is sending me certified letters telling me I can't go to somebody's house. Last time I checked, this is America, I can go where I want. The Ethics Commission, either use it properly or get rid of it. It's a waste of
very
time, in
much.
my opinion.
Is there anybody else here for public comment? I see no one. We're going to go into the agenda. At this time, we go to our consent. Our first items are 5 through 13. Councilmember Vieira.
Yes, sir. Move the aforementioned items, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second from Councilmember Clendenin. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Yes, ma'am. Councilwoman Henderson.
Yes, Parks and Recreation, move item number 14, Chair.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Henderson, second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurtak.
Yes, I move items 15 through 20.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Hurtak. Do we have a second? Second from Councilmember Clendenin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next up, Councilmember Miranda, Finance Committee.
Items 21 through 27 and 29.
We have a motion. from
28.
Yes. Councilmember Miranda with the motion, second from Councilmember Clendenin. All in favor?
Aye.
Councilmember Carlson, you have 30 through 43. Remember that we have requested to pull 34, 35, 36, 7, 8, 39, and 41. So would you move the others? We have a motion from Councilmember
Second.
Clendenin, second from Councilwoman Henderson.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
I move items 44 through 46.
Councilmember Clendenin with a motion from items 44 through 46. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor? Aye. We now need a motion
47.
for 47 to set the public hearing for October 12th, 2023 at 5:01 PM and November 2nd, 2023 at 10:30 AM in Council Chambers, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida 33602.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Clendenin. All in favor? Aye. May I have a motion to open the?
Mr. Chairman? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, at the end of the consent agenda, we were going to move items 63 and 64. If there are no questions, and we brought this up earlier, about staff being present, may I have a motion to move item 63? Second. Motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilwoman Henderson, all in favor? Aye. And then may I have a motion to move item 64? We have a motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Vieira, all in favor? Aye. Okay, may I have a motion to open all public hearings? 9:30 AM public hearings. Motion from Councilmember
Second.
Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda, all in favor? All right, we're gonna go to the first three. They're non-quasi judicial, so we'll swear everybody in after these. Item number 48. Item number 48. We're moving quicker than usual, but, which is nice. Now, this is doing the honorary street naming for Salvador Martinez Ebor. Is there anybody that's here to present on this item? I know it came from staff. If not, do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on this item? All right, may I have a motion to close? Motion to close from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Vieira, all in favor? Aye. Councilmember Vieira, this was your motion, so would you like to read it?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Move an ordinance be presented for second reading and adoption ordinance of the City of Tampa, Florida, approving the placement of an honorary street naming sign at the intersection of 9th Avenue and 19th Street in Ybor City, Florida, to honor Salvador Martinez Ebor, providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Vieira, second from Councilmember Miranda. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, thank you very much. Item number 49 is also presented by the city. I don't believe we have anybody here on that. This is for the honorary street designation for Mr. Michael Phillips. Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on this item, item number 49? I see no one. May I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor?
Aye.
And Councilman Vieira, I'm going to go to you again because, again, this was your motion.
I'm doing that. Yes, sir. Move an ordinance being presented for second.
It's okay, that's okay.
I'm sorry, did Alan?
Yeah, no, it's okay, it's good.
Okay. I'm sorry, I thought it was.
Or whoever. Alan,
No, I don't
whatever.
care, go, you already started,
wanted to
go,
do
go.
it last.
Okay, move an ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. An ordinance of the City of Tampa, Florida, approving the placement of an honorary street renaming sign or street naming sign at the intersection of Himes Avenue and San Jose Street in Tampa, Florida, for a period of 2 years to honor Michael Phillips, providing an effective date.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Clendenin. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
And Councilman Clendenin, you initially presented this on Mr. Phillips, right?
Well, I think we went back and forth, and because I was friends, I think he deferred back to me. He started and then
I
deferred
did
back to me.
it.
And
I did it. No, I started on this
Yeah, initially.
A year and a half
And then
ago.
we read the last one, though, you handed
Yeah,
it to me.
yeah,
too.
when Mr. Phillips died,
We all love Michael.
2.5 years ago or so.
Yeah, we all love Michael. So
Oh,
that's-
yeah, no, yeah, that was, we started on that, and it was, and it's a great thing that we're doing, it goes without
Yeah,
saying, so.
absolutely.
Yep. All right, next is item number 50. Do we have anybody?
Yeah, we did it.
Yes, there's one.
Unanimous.
Los Angeles Development Coordination, presenting file number VAC 23-18 for second reading and adoption. I'm available if you have any questions.
Do you have any questions for this time for Mr. Sammons? No? All right, do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 50?
I don't have anything to add other than what I said last time, so.
Thank you very much. All right, we have a motion to close?
So moved.
Motion to close from Councilwoman Henderson, second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Councilmember Miranda.
Thank you, Chairman. Item number 50, an ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. An ordinance in the city of Tampa, Florida, vacating, closing, discontinuing, and abandoning that alleyway located north of Virginia Avenue, south of Selma Avenue, east of Swanee Avenue, and west of Mayfield Avenue within the plat of goods addition to Tampa subdivision in the city of Tampa, Hillsborough County, Florida. More particularly described in section 2 thereof, subject to certain covenants, conditions, and restrictions as more particularly set forth therein, providing for enforcement and penalties for violation, providing for definition, interpretations, and repealing conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Do we have a second? Second. We have a second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor? I'm sorry, record your vote, record your vote.
Motion carried with Clendenin and Hurtak voting no.
All right, at this time, we go into our quasi judicial hearings. These are second readings. And if you are here to speak on items 51, 2, 3, 4. Well, all right, if you're going to speak on these items, please stand, raise your right hand, and we'll swear you in. Please raise your right hand if you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to provide is the truth and nothing but the truth. Thank you. All right, let's begin.
Good morning, Council. Kate Wells, Legal Department. Item 51 is REZ 22-23. This is the second reading on an ordinance correcting a Scrivener's error, wherein we replace the certified site plan as Exhibit B. I'm available to answer any questions.
Any questions? Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 51? All right, may we have a motion to close from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Moran. All in favor?
Aye.
Councilwoman Henderson, would you mind reading item number 51?
Yes, Chair, thank you. Item number 51, I move file number REZ 22-23, an ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. An ordinance amending ordinance number 2022-106, which rezoned the property in the general vicinity of 5411 West Tyson Avenue in the city of Tampa, Florida, in order to correct a Scrivener's error in the site plan attached as Exhibit B to the said ordinance, providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a second from Councilman Miranda. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, thank you very much. Item number 52.
Yes, good morning, Chairman and Council. LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. Item 52 is AB 22312. This item is before you this morning for second reading and adoption. Revised plans have been submitted and have been certified and provided to the clerk. I'm available if you have any questions.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Dock? No? Yes, sir. Do we have an applicant? All right, come on up. Please state your name. Do you have anything to add, sir?
Robert Rivera, just saying thank you for council members for the vote.
All
And
right.
have a great day.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 52? We have a motion to close from
Second.
Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Moran. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Councilmember Clendenin, item number 52.
Ordinance being presented for first, second reading and adoption. An ordinance approved a special use permit S2 for alcoholic beverage sales and small venue consumption on premises only, and making lawful the sale of beverages regardless of alcoholic content, beer, wine, and liquor on that certain lot or plot or tract of land located at 101 North Franklin Street, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in Section 3, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed, repealing ordinance number 9757, providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, next up is item number 53. Do we have anybody here
Thank
for
you
item
again.
53? Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yes, thank you again, Chairman and Council. LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. Item 53 is AB 2-2320. This item is before you today for second reading and adoption. Revised site plans have been submitted and provided to the clerk. Those plans have been certified. I'm available if you have any questions.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Dock? No? Do we have anybody here representing item number 53, any applicant? I see no one. They're online. Applicants 53, do you have anything to add?
If we could bring them up.
Sir, please raise your right hand. I see Stephen. If you have anything to add, please raise your right hand. We'll swear you in and unmute yourself.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to provide is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. Go ahead, sir, for item 53.
Hi, council, just if there are any questions, happy to answer them.
Any questions? All right. Thank you very much. No. Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item 53? I see no one. Motion to close from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Councilwoman Hurtak, would you mind reading 53?
Yes, file number AB 2-23-20, ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption, an ordinance approving a special use permit, S2, for alcoholic beverage sales, small venue, consumption on premises only, and making lawful the sale of beer and wine at or from that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 709 South Oregon Avenue, Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in Section 2, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed, providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Hurtak, second from Councilmember Miranda. Please record your vote. Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
I think we should. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Just a moment.
Thank you.
All right, item number 54.
Thank you, Chairman and Council. Again, LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. Item number 54 is AB 2-2323. This item is before you this morning for second reading and adoption. Revised site plans have been submitted and certified and provided to the clerk. I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Dock? Nope. Yes, sir?
Yes, Brian Dion, Johnson Pope, 401 East Jackson Street. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. I'm just here to answer any questions that the council
Any
might have.
questions for the gentleman? Nope. Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 54? We have a motion to close from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda. Please record your vote. I'm sorry? Oh, sorry. Councilmember Carlson.
Yes.
Do we need to vote on the motion to close?
So moved.
We started to click it.
Sorry, we had a motion to close from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Councilmember Carlson, please read item 54.
Yes, I'd like to move file number AB 2-2323, ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption, ordinance approving the special use permit S2 for alcoholic beverage sales, restaurant consumption on premise only, and making lawful the sale of beverages regardless of alcoholic content, beer, wine, and liquor on that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 5232 South McDill Avenue, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in Section 3, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed, repealing AB 1-14-55, providing effective date.
We have a motion from Councilmember Carlson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Miranda. Now record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
We're just not used to flying through an agenda.
Thank you,
this quickly.
Council.
Thank you, council.
This is very, very rare that we go this quickly. We're going to go quickly to 57 and 58. Their second reading and adoption. They'll be quick. So item number 57. Do we have anybody here for item number 57? I know it's, city staff is coming here, so we may not have anybody. Do we have anybody in the public that is here to speak on 57? May I have a motion to close?
So moved.
We have a motion from Councilmember Clendenis, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Councilmember Miranda, would you mind reading item number 57?
How come you give me the long ones?
Because you're my favorite. You're my favorite.
Item number 57, file number E 2023/8. Ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. Ordinance in the city of Tampa, Florida relating to amendments of the Land Development Code, making revision to the City of Tampa Code of Ordinance, Chapter 27, Zoning and Land Development, amending Section 27-43, definitions, amending Section 27-149, public notice requirement for land development decisions, and text amendments to the Land Development Code, amending Section 27/156, official schedule of district regulation, amending Section 27/211.6, development standard for commercial mixed use or other non-residential SHCG general and CHCI development, amending Section 27/211.8, schedule for permit use district, amending Section 27/238, West Shore Overlay District development standards, amending Section 27/283.12, off-street parking space standards, amending Section 27/288, solid waste, amending Section 27/290.1, fence and wall regulations, repeating all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda. Do we have a second? Second from Councilmember Clendenin. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, thank you very much. Item number 58, this is regarding the East Tampa overlay. Do we have anybody here? Yes, sir.
Good morning, council. This is the privately initiated text amendment to the East Tampa overlay, and a presentation was provided at first reading on August 31st.
Do we have any questions for the gentleman? No. Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 58? All right, we have a motion to close from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilwoman Henderson. All in favor? Aye. Councilmember Vieira, 58.
Yes, sir. Move an ordinance being presented for second reading adoption, ordinance City of Tampa, Florida, relating to East Tampa Overlay District, making certain revisions to City of Tampa Code of Ordinances, Chapter 27, Zoning Land Development, amending Section 27-156, official schedule of district regulations, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, providing for severability and effective date.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, Vieira, second from Councilmember Miranda. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go to item number 59. If anybody has any objections, let me know. Go to 59. We have to pull, I'm sorry? I know, but I'd like to go to item number 59 so we can get it out of the way, because at 11 o'clock we're going into our closed session, and I was asked about coming back and breaking for lunch and whatnot in order to keep the meeting going, but I was going to suggest that we take 59, we go to our closed session at 11, which we go into recess for that here. We go to lunch, come back at 1 and go. No?
I'm sorry to interrupt, forgive me.
You have to come back here and then make the motion?
Under Florida statutes, you begin a closed session by announcing it at a public meeting, you go into closed session, and then you return to the public meeting to announce the end of the closed session. You have to return, there has to be a
So
quorum.
we have to come back in here, okay, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Shelby mentioned that since we have now had public comment on item number 67,
then I'll do that
we can receive and file, and then if there's someone from the legal department who wishes to speak on the reasoning for us only being able to receive and file.
Ms. Wells, I don't see Ms. Wells here. Out of courtesy to those people who are waiting for number 67, just for council and the public, in SIRE, in the backup material on the agenda is the memorandum that explains why that is. If council wants to wait till Ms. Wells comes back, but that might not be till quite later, frankly.
All right, we'll
So
see
if
how
you-
we go on time now, and then we'll.
Or you want to make your motion now, or you want the explanation? I'll second it.
I wanted Ms. Wells to publicly say what changed between my motion and why we can't speak about it now.
Understood, thank
Okay,
you.
so
Then we'll hold that item, please.
We'll go into Mr. Fernandez and then give Ms. Wells an opportunity to come down and explain it before we go into our closed session. Okay, Mr. Fernandez, item number 59.
I believe we need to get sworn in for the 10:30 items.
No, these are non-quasi judicial.
Okay, very good. Good morning, Council. Dennis Fernandez, Architecture Review and Historic Preservation Manager. Very excited to be here this morning with my colleague Elaine Lund for the proposed addition of the Johnson Brothers houses as local landmarks under the historic Central Avenue African American Heritage Sites Multiple Properties listing. We have a PowerPoint for you that Ms. Lund will present, and then I believe there's some representatives from the ownership here.
Okay, good morning, Council. Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation Staff. This item is for your consideration for the historic local landmark designation of the Johnson Brothers houses at 1248 and 1250 East Scott Street. The owner, Open Space Acquisitions LLC, submitted an application for the local landmark designation on February 27th of 2023. Properties are considered by the Historic Preservation Commission, or the HPC, at a public hearing to determine whether they meet the criteria for local historic landmark designation found in section 27257 of the city's Code of Ordinances. Local historic designation provides protection for historic landmarks and districts, provides for review of alterations of the designated properties, and safeguards the heritage of the city, and provides certain economic benefits. The Johnson Brothers houses were constructed circa 1900. The image on the left is a 1951 Sanborn Company map showing the two small wood frame houses on Scott Street. And it was around this time that they were first occupied by the Johnson family. The image on the right there is our modern day aerial photograph of the same area, and both of the images have the subject sites outlined in red. The buildings are being proposed for designation as part of the historic Central Avenue area African American Heritage Sites Multiple Property listing. This listing currently includes 5 brick churches that played a significant role in the lives of the community that once thrived in this area. The addition of the 2 wood frame houses will round out this group, preserving those extant examples of the neighborhood's daily life. These 2 houses are examples of the wood frame vernacular architecture that was much like the many other wood frame residences that were built in this area that were constructed as worker housing. The surviving buildings on Scott Street that are proposed for designation represent 2 of over 600 similar residences that formerly comprised the Scrub, a Black American residential neighborhood that began to take shape in the late 19th century between downtown Tampa and Ybor City. The Scrub originally supplied housing for nearby lumber mill workers. State and local laws ensured that racial segregation was legally enforceable, preventing Black people from attending white churches and schools, shopping at businesses, using the same public facilities, and even being buried in the same cemeteries. And the conditions in the Scrub were considered very modest at best. This is a picture of the Elks Club on Constant Street in the Central Avenue Business District area. Distant from downtown's Franklin Street Commercial District, the Black Business District in Tampa grew along Central Avenue and its surrounding streets, directly adjacent to the Scrub neighborhood. During the first part of the 20th century, the Central Avenue Business District grew. It was home to many well-known Tampa establishments, including the Gem and Palace drugstores, Central Life Insurance Company, the Central Avenue Sandwich Shop, the Apollo Ballroom, and the Central or Pyramid Hotel. In 1952, local architects Franklin O. Adams and Frank A. Barzali designed Central Park Village, a low-rent housing complex intended to transform the Scrub. Tampa Housing Authority intended this project to provide rent within the financial reach of some almost 2,000 Black American families from the neighborhood. Only a few houses north of Scott Street remained, including those occupied by Johnny Johnson and his family, Listed in the 1950 census, Johnson worked for a railroad company and lived with his wife Luella and 2 lodgers. Between urban renewal and the construction of the interstate highway system, Central Avenue lost its identity and the tight-knit community eventually dispersed. The business district was raised in 1974. The 2006 Central Park Community Redevelopment Area Plan identified measures to foster public-private partnerships that maximized redevelopment investment in a manner that respected the unique history of the neighborhood. This plan included the development of the Central Park Village Housing Complex, the redesign of Perry Harvey Senior Park, and the construction of a mixed-use community, including affordable and market-rate apartments. The residential project is known as Encore. It includes 28 acres under development by the Tampa Housing Authority. The Johnson Brothers houses, once home to generations of the Johnson family, sit on the north side of Encore and are now property of the Tampa Housing Authority and its subsidiary Open Space Acquisitions. As stated previously, the application date was February 27th of this year, and the HPC met at a public hearing and made a recommendation on May 16th this year to recommend these properties to you for local landmark designation. The Planning Commission has found these applications to be consistent with the City of Tampa Comprehensive Plan, and public notice has been provided to the owner, to nearby property owners, and registered organizations. The staff recommendation is that Tampa City Council approve the designation of the Johnson Brothers houses at 1248 and 1250 East Scott Street as local historic landmarks and additions to the historic Central Avenue area African American Heritage Sites multiple property listing based on their meeting the criteria found in section 27257. The buildings were constructed and achieved significance during the period of historic significance, which is generally taken to be at least 50 years ago. These historic resources are significant in the areas of community planning, development, ethnic history, and architecture. Additionally, owner support is an item that must be considered for designation, and I would like to thank the owner of this property for coming forward to request the designation and working with us through this process. And that concludes our presentation. So at this time,
Thank you very
we'll
much.
have the owners come forward. Thank you.
Thank you for this wonderful presentation. And I think it's shameful what was done to that entire neighborhood. I don't blame anybody here because we weren't here, because this is already, I think the last business closed in 1974. And if you can imagine, urban renewal was a very aggressive program. If you look at it historically, especially in the city of Tampa, it was more aggressive than most. And Ybor City nearby was affected tremendously by urban renewal, but they didn't level and demolish 7th Avenue. Central Avenue is gone with the exception of a few buildings that you mentioned, a few churches, and these houses. I know some people, because I've talked to so many people. I had a conversation a couple weeks ago. I spoke till I couldn't talk anymore about the history, and this is someone who was there. And why it happened, and another person said, well, the interstate was coming through. The interstate is north. This area where Perry Harvey Park and all the, it was all wiped out. And it's sad because we lost encyclopedias of history. I don't know how you want to describe it, but it's like leveling Ybor City and going, well, they left the Italian club, and the Columbia, but everything else is gone. But I'm glad that, and I can't go back in time, none of us can, that we have these 2 houses because the scrub is gone. I spoke to one gentleman years ago who remembers the neighborhood and the condition of the houses and everything, and he told me his story. But at least we have something physical that we can show people, that we can say, hey, there's a historic marker telling the story, but these houses are protected because it's the very last, or some of the last, because he said there are a few houses north of Scott Street that remain. So I'm glad that this is being brought before us. I wish I was here 50 years ago. I wasn't born 50 years ago, and we could have fought to protect more of these structures, but at least we're doing what we can now, and soon we'll have the discussion on the Jackson House where there's some positive news there. So again, thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair. This just happens to be in District 5. Just a quick little story. When my mother moved in with me 5 years ago, she had a metal box with some paperwork in it, and it was my father's military papers, very, very thin piece of paper, and I discovered things about him that I didn't know. He lived on the corner of Scott and Governor Street in the Scrubs before he went to the Korean War. I got in my car and drove to this area past the Johnson houses and just sat in my car there and couldn't believe it that he lived in the Scrubs because I did not know that part of his life. And then he moved to the bottom when he got back, which is actually where Armature Works is. The emotional piece for me is that there are some amazing spaces in Tampa where Black people lived that have been clearly gentrified, but it happened because of racism. City government racism and national government racism wiped out a significant part of our community. And I actually probably drive in the Scrubs almost every single day to pay homage to the community that was there. When I walk into St. James Episcopal Church for the events that are now held by our Tampa History Center, trying to keep a piece of the Scrub alive for the future generations of Tampa, I just think it's really important that this history that was presented today is actually accurate. But the missing piece is that racism on a national level and a local level, and if you go back and read the papers, there were a mayor who called this area deplorable. And so, but it was a community that was thriving in the city of Tampa. Senator Arthenia Joyner, her father, was the last business to hold out in 1974, closing the Joyner's Cotton Club. And so I can just only imagine, I envision every time that I go on 7th Avenue, I get angry that Central Avenue is no longer here. It is just one of the unfair things that happen in our community. And so to maintain these two structures in a preservation kind of way is not only the right thing to do, but it's actually long overdue. Thank you, Chair. And I'll be glad to read this ordinance for first reading.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
I just want to say, some folks have heard me say this before, but if you go to Williamsburg, only 10% of Williamsburg is original. The rest of it was rebuilt based on the drawings and picture drawings that they had. Old Town Warsaw was rebuilt after World War II based on paintings from the 1500s, or 1700s, I can't remember which. Anyway, we have pictures of what Central Avenue looked like. I was hoping that the Jackson House renovation 10 years ago would be the start of trying to rebuild some of the buildings that were on Central Avenue. And unfortunately, that's taken 10 years. But once that's done, I think we have to in earnest look at not just protecting the older buildings, but rebuilding some of them that were torn down, because it's building on what my colleague said, this was a huge mistake by the city, and we need to correct it, and we need to tell the story of the history of Tampa. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Councilman Veer.
Thank you very much. And just briefly, Councilwoman Henderson, thank you for those words. I'm a big fan of the Equal Justice Initiative, Brian Stevenson in Montgomery, Alabama, and they always say that to overcome inequality, we have to confront our history. And it's so important for people to call it as it is and as it was. I mean, we have a lot of people, hear a lot of jokes where people say, oh, people are saying the interstate's racist. Well, the construction of it was based on, like you said, racism. And a lot of people say that as a joke. The interstate's racist. No, the way it was constructed, it was based upon racism, racial hatred, bias, prejudice, etc. So I just thank you for those words. I know that I remember once trying to find the house where Robert Saunders, the great NAACP leader in Florida and from Tampa, lived, Robert City, and it's been paved over, no longer here. Yeah, so it's, so thank you again for your words, and again, to overcome inequality, we have to confront our history, and so I agree with your words. Thank you.
Thank you, and I've been fascinated with this area, and I've mentioned it many times in the day for probably 20 years since I was in college, since I discovered what Central Avenue was. And if you go on YouTube, there was a film called Black Like Me, based on the book, and you have to understand why it's called that. But there's a very brief clip where the gentleman, the main actor, gets off a bus on Central Avenue, and for like 10 seconds you see, and it was like a bustling 7th Avenue in Ybor City. Because I've looked, where is there more, it's very limited. But, and I'll stop with this and I'll go to public comment. Yesterday I was driving down 22nd Street, just south of Martin Luther King, And there are so many buildings, some are owned by the CRA, so many buildings, and you can see, you know, commercial. And I'm thinking to myself, if we can't rebuild Central Avenue, we can create a thriving black business district. And that being a main corridor going through Belmont Heights, the buildings are there. It's just, you know, public-private partnerships, CRA, you know, I was with Mr. McCray, the CRA has this, and there's so much opportunity. And I see how Armature Works was revitalized, how Ybor City has come back, how we're building Water Street. There's opportunity to do that there. And if we can't rebuild Central Avenue, we can create a hub right there. So just throwing that out into the universe, since we have to say it publicly, but yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit on it, and yeah, I'm about preserving our past as well, but, you know, we balance these needs as the city of Tampa grows. But, you know, when we have these opportunities, I think we have to seize them. Going on what you just said is kind of hearkening back to what I've heard prior to me serving on council. Councilman Carlson has said over the years about creating these thriving small neighborhood commercial districts. And so I think that's the key in some of our gentrification issues. If we can create these small neighborhood commercial districts, you know, regenerate them and revive them throughout our community, within our diverse community, I think that will go a long way at either recreating, as Councilman Carlson said, of going back to some of the original plans, like we've got some, you know, great areas in West Tampa. We can create areas in East Tampa and others. I think that's really something that this council and this city government needs to be looking at for future growth and development.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak? Ma'am, I know you had spoken earlier, and I apologize for interrupting, but you have the opportunity now during the public hearing.
I'm so sorry. Thank you. Good morning, council members. My name is Audrey Toronzo. I'm a student of Public Policy Administration at St. Petersburg College, born and raised in West Tampa. My address right now is 4513 Devonshire Road in Tampa. I'm currently working on a case study involving today's topic regarding the designation of Johnson houses as a historical landmark, which are located at 1248 East Scott Street and 1250 East Scott Street, Tampa. I would like to take a moment and thank you for allowing me to speak on this subject. Although I'm not a resident of the historical Central Avenue area, as a native and current resident of Tampa, I believe we should preserve the Johnson houses. In my research, I found that the City of Tampa Historic Preservation Commission recommended to the City of Tampa Council that the Johnson houses be designated as historical landmarks, representing the area known as the Scrubs. It is of vital historical importance to the African American community and to the City of Tampa as well. As one of the goals of the City of Tampa's comprehensive plan is, and I quote, retain valued reminders of our past while developing valued historic resources for future generations, end quote. The Johnson houses fit perfectly in this description. These are the last remaining buildings that were not razed due to gentrification and racism, primarily between the 50s and 70s, with the construction of I-4 and I-275 contributed to this as well. Whether they are preserved and used for residential purposes or designated for use as a museum, it would be of great historical benefit to the City of Tampa to keep such history alive, is to remember the suffering and the plight of a community as well as their accomplishments. Tampa has a rich history as well as a tragic one. Remembering not only the good but the bad helps one not repeat the same errors and atrocities that cities all over the U.S. have been a part of. Since the Johnson houses meet the criteria, I don't see any issues designating these homes as historical landmarks, only that I hope that they're restored in a manner that preserves the heritage of the African American community in the area. I'm proud to call each and every neighborhood in the City of Tampa my home. As such, the Johnson homes are part of me and my city's heritage. All I would ask is to please remember to listen to the community when making your decisions. I would like to thank Elaine Lund, which I spoke to yesterday. She gave me some good points and answered all my questions. And I thank you again for giving me this opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much. Anybody else here to speak for public comment? Before I close, thank you, Mr. Fernandez, Ms. Lund. I think I see Ms. Farrell in the back, you know, historic preservation champions, and thank you for all that you do. This is very significant and important. May I have a motion to close? Motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Councilwoman Henderson, would you read
Thank you.
item 59?
Yes, with great joy. Thank you, Chair. I move file number HPC 2023-03 and HPC 2023-04. An ordinance being presented for first reading consideration. An ordinance of the City of Tampa, Florida, amending the historic Central Avenue area African American Heritage Sites Multiple Properties Group to include the Johnson Brothers houses located at 1248 East Scott Street and 1250 East Scott Street, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in Section 3 hereof as local historic landmarks, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Henderson, second from Councilwoman Hurtak. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You want a roll call? Let's do a roll call vote.
Clendenin,
Yes.
Henderson,
Absolutely.
Vieira,
Yes.
Miranda, Carlson,
Yes.
Hurtak,
Yes.
and Maniscalco.
Yes.
Second reading and adoption will be held on October 19, 2023 at 9:30 a.m.
All right, before I announce the closed session, at this time, we have item 67. Ms. Wells, if you could just explain that before we move to receive and file.
Good morning, Kate Wells for the record, and I apologize for stepping out earlier. I didn't realize you were going to take that item out of order. As I explained in the memorandum filed in Sire, given that an application for Design Exception 1 has been filed with the city, and the interest that you've already heard through public comment, I think regardless of staff's decision on that application, I would anticipate that a petition for review would be filed with this city council. It would be heard during a quasi-judicial hearing, and for that reason, I'm recommending that it not be discussed in public.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
And I just wanted to say that that was not the case when I made this motion, that SU1 permit had not been filed. So that is the reason that we cannot hear this.
May I have a motion to receive and file? Motion
Yeah.
from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. All right. At this time, Mr. Shelby, I'm going to announce the closed session. I'm going to say here, at this time, and in accordance with Florida Statute Section 286.0118, we will proceed to a closed attorney-client session to discuss settlement negotiations in the case of Jeffrey Berger versus City of Tampa, EEOC number 511-2018-01751. This closed session is estimated to last approximately 45 minutes and will be recorded by a certified court reporter. The names of the persons attending the closed session are as follows: Councilmember Bill Carlson, Councilmember Alan Clendenin, Councilmember Gwen Henderson, Councilmember Lynn Hurtak, Councilmember Guido Maniscalco, Councilmember Charlie Miranda, Councilmember Luis Vieira, City Council Attorney Martin Shelby, City Attorney Andrea Zellman, Assistant City Attorney Rebecca Johns, Human Resources and Talent Development Director Kelly Austin, and Certified Court Reporter Debbie Guest from Reporters on Madison. At the conclusion of the closed attorney-client session, this meeting will be reopened and I will announce the termination of the session. A transcript of the closed attorney-client session shall be made part of the public record upon conclusion of the Berger case. At this time, we will be in, do we say recess or do we adjourn?
Actually, you could be, I guess what, Madam Clerk, what would you think at this point? Adjourn for purpose of the closed session?
All right, at this time, we will be adjourned for purposes of the closed session and will reconvene in this room to continue the meeting.